first of all, my name is Dustin Strydom, so I'm the Director of Automation Services at OpenBox Software. Steve's already done a great introduction, speaking to a little bit of who we are, but ultimately we are a real estate-focused IT consultancy. We've been around for about 16 years, and we are the global leaders in delivering automation services to the commercial real estate industry. So skipping through. Altus Group, represented by Steve here, recently released a CRE Innovation Report. Now, if you haven't had a chance to have a look at that, seriously do yourself a favor, because there's some really interesting insights about how some of the leading CRE C-suites within the industry view technology. So some statistics around it. If you have a look up at the board here, when asked about the impact that disruptive technologies would have on the industry, when asked about AI and machine intelligence, I think only 28% of our CRE leaders said that it would have a major impact on the industry. When we look at big data and predictive analytics, which is even more interesting for me, even less, 24% said that'll have a major impact on the industry. And then when we go down to things like blockchain, it's sitting at levels of 15%. So I disagree, and I'm far more optimistic about how these types of technologies will be able to shape and change our industry. However, it's quite important, I think, to recognize that the leaders of our industry and the people that we need to get buy-in and adoption in order to make or affect change with these technologies, it's important to know where they're at and how they feel about this. Because without the adoption, without the stakeholder buy-in, we're not going to be able to make that change, and ultimately we're going to continue to be labeled as the technology laggards that we have been in the past as an industry. So, however, there's a positive sign in all of this, and that's this green statistic over there that says, when asked about automation, more than 50% said that most real estate processes and workflows could be almost completely or significantly automated. And adopted today. So that to me is really positive because of three factors really. I see automation being able to play the role of a catalyst to enable some of these more disruptive technologies like AI, machine learning, predictive analytics, right? And I'll get to a little bit of the details as to why I think that in a moment. Secondly, process automation today can deliver massive cost savings. It's got the ability to completely remove human error and vastly reduce your risk factors within your business. And also it gives you the ability to scale infinitely without adding additional headcounts to your business. And lastly, I think that automation has the ability to form the basis of an operating system to enable us to in an iterative approach, add more disruptive technologies like the ones we see here and like the ones that Steve was chatting about just a second ago. And I'll get to the details of that in just a moment. So firstly, before I get there, I just want to talk about what is robotic process automation. So could I get a quick show of hands to the audience? Who knows what robotic process automation is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, 8. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but when I asked the same question about a year ago, I think only 2 hands went up, and one of whom was Steve. So that is some sort of progress, but there still is clearly a long way to go. So let me give you a brief outline. The best way that I like to describe robotic process automation is comparing it to outsourcing or business process outsourcing. So traditionally, the types of tasks that you would be able to outsource to lower cost countries, those tasks that are repetitive, rules-based and manual, largely mundane in a lot of aspects, you now have the ability to outsource those to software, right? However, software costs you less than traditional outsourcing. It also has the added benefit of no longer making any human mistakes, right? No human error. And also it comes with a large degree of controls which you can have within your own organization, which you don't typically have in the outsourcing industry. So by way of definition, it's a software agent that works in a robotic manner and has the ability to either partially or fully automate tasks that are repetitive, rules-based, and generally high volume. Right, so Obviously, the leaders in our industry have said that they're ready to embrace automation. And really, let's talk about why this is a catalyst for future disruptive technologies. To me, by having automated solutions, we have a scenario whereby, for the first time, we have our CRE leaders getting used to having machines perform the work of human beings. And this is firstly a mindset shift, which is going to help to hopefully adopt technologies of the future. But also it provides this environment of machines performing this work in a very safe environment, because robotic process automation is just following a set of rules. It's not making any cognitive decisions, which some of your artificial intelligence technologies will do in the future. So a safe environment within your organization to get used to the concept, I believe will help to breed adoption going forward in the future. And secondly, this concept of automation being an operating system for future disruptive technologies. This allows you to automate the base layer of your organization, right? Until we have our data in the right state to facilitate more cognitive technologies, it's not going to work. Until we have our basic level of tasks automated within our organization, we're not going to be able to adopt some of the more disruptive technologies. And by doing this, we have the ability to, on an iterative basis, plug in more cognitive technologies as we develop and as they become more and more robust. Right, so another statistic from the Altus Innovation Report. This is where do our leaders believe that automation is relevant? So if you have a look at this, debt underwriting, capital markets brokerage, property management, asset management, budgeting and forecasting, and valuation and appraisal, all sitting above 52 or 50% in the chart. Right, so let's unpack some of those in a little bit more detail. So property management. We've been working with a large number of property management organizations and divisions within CRE businesses, and we've done some detailed analysis on a line-by-line basis, a lot of fun days spent for our analysts going through these businesses and identifying exactly where we believe automation can play a key role. Now, if you have a look at that stat, and hopefully you can all see it, but we talk about database management, service charge management, accounts receivable, accounts payable, client reporting, all sitting above 50%, the number of tasks that we believe you can automate within those areas. So how does that translate onto a total basis? Well, that means more than a quarter of a property management function can be automated using process automation. And that's before you even start getting to your more cognitive technologies. Now, what does that mean in terms of numbers? So in an organization of around 250 people for a property management division or function, that translates to a reduction in cost, net of the cost to automate, of up to $4 million per year, or around £3 million if looking at current exchange rates. So it's a sizable impact, and that's just the base layer of what we're looking at. All right, so moving on to valuations and appraisals. Altus Group, as Steve mentioned, are at the forefront of adopting automation technology to actually create value in their business and also to pass that value on to their clients. And we're working closely with Altus to help them do that. So we're working with their consulting division, who provide third-party appraisal services to, I think, 60 out of 70 of the largest property funds within North America. And ultimately, it's got to the point where we're automating all of the manual tasks that make up that process. So our software robots today will receive tenancy schedules, income and expense statements, and CapEx statements from the prior quarter, all in various different formats, PDFs, Excels, whatever it may be, making sense of that data, receiving all of the Argus enterprise valuation files per property, and actually building out detailed line-by-line comparison reports, highlighting the variances between the prior quarter data and the current quarter data, and handing that to the valuer, so that on a quarterly basis, they don't need to do any of those manual steps. And this goes further into actually managing each iteration and the comparisons between those and the data load in and data load out of Argus Enterprise. To the point where this used to take on a quarterly basis a manual operator up to 4 weeks to complete the first step. And we've been able to achieve that for Altus in a matter of 35 hours, so less than 2 business days. You can imagine the benefits that they've been able to then see within their business and pass on to their clients. So finally, the last area I want to talk about is integration. So another statistic from the Altus Innovation Report was that more than 58% of respondents said that they are using many more CRE-specific applications today than they were 3 years ago. Right? I think this is a familiar problem for most organizations, and 59% of them said that they still don't have significant integration between those applications. Now, I'm a big advocate for traditional integration. It's still very much a part of our business at OpenBox and what we do. However, there is a clear trend that organizations are just not getting around to integrating and allowing their applications to talk to each other for various reasons, one of which being cost, one of which being time and just the ability for their IT departments to get around to these, and the third one being it's not always possible. There's some legacy applications, there are certain software vendors that don't allow you to integrate, and we're operating with vast amounts of siloed data in a number of different applications. Now, process automation has the ability to facilitate that integration in a far easier manner. It gives you the ability to do it cost effectively, far faster than traditional integration projects, and it gives you the ability to go beyond the constraints of some of the challenges in terms of even being able to integrate. So another area where it's kind of really seeing some fantastic traction in the market. Right, so finally, just to leave you with a few takeaways. Process automation is here today. It's solving real-world problems within the commercial real estate industry, and it's allowing us to rethink the types of tasks that we allocate to human beings. Things like property management, valuations and appraisals, and integrations are just 3 areas of many that a number of our clients and our peers are benefiting from through process automation. It pays for itself by saving companies time and money, and by de-risking businesses by avoiding human error. Process automation can be the operating system of the future for future disruptive technologies, and I believe it can be a catalyst to enable these technologies as well. And finally, and I think most importantly, the message I want to give is don't panic. You don't need to have your entire future digital or your future mapped out today. You can use process automation to automate and improve your business today and figure out and learn what's best to do tomorrow. Thanks very much.